I was always drawn to fields of helping people. So any area that I was always kind of drawn to those vulnerable sector groups, even starting in high school with what I chose to do in the summers. Hi, my name is Tricia Hayes. I'm the Exec Director of the Loch Lomond Villa Foundation, and I'm from St. John, New Brunswick. I love St. John, so I'm from the west side of St. John, and if you're familiar with the west side, people tend to love it over there and never want to leave. So I really enjoyed it. I went to school uptown at St. Malachy's, and then I went to university just in Fredericton, so not too far away, and now I'm back in St. John. So I would say, and it still carries on today, I'm a very active person. So I love the gym and like boxing and being outdoors and all that stuff. So I would say it translates into kind of qualities I carry in my work as well, because with that area, I always love challenging myself. So if it's a matter of like reaching just the personal best at the gym, I'm always challenging myself and how do I improve? So that does translate into my work, and my role gives me a lot of autonomy to kind of set those goals and grow. So my favorite was cheerleading. I was a cheerleader. And also soccer, field hockey, and I ran, so cross country and track. Team sports definitely taught me just the value of working together and having a strong team and having like a strong foundation and base. I think it also allowed me to recognize that in a team, everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and it's just a matter of supporting someone with their strengths, and that betters the entire team. So, and of course, just the relationships you gain through team sports. It's so valuable. I was definitely so I actually love to learn. So I always enjoyed going to class and like participating. I was that kid that always answered questions. And same in high school. I found if you're involved, it makes experience so much better. Time goes faster, and then if you have a good relationship, it benefits you, like with your professors or your teacher, it benefits you in the class 100%. Worst was math, 100%. And my best, English. English would be one of my favorites, but also, of course, like the fun classes, so leadership and outdoor pursuits, and art too. I love being creative. So art was also one of my favorite classes as well, yeah. Psychology at UNB Fredericton. Kind of relates back to the field I'm in, but I've always been drawn to people. So just helping people, understanding, I always find it fascinating. So I just really naturally went into that area. A lot of sociology played a big role too. That was my minor. So in the role of, so just how it really comes back to how people operate. Well, it's funny when you talk about first year. I think, I was an arts background. So naturally you kind of take like so many different classes in your first year to try to figure it out. So I do remember as my second year approached, having conversations with my family, being like, oh, is that what I really want to do? I think so. So I think within my first year, I decided then that I really want to continue down the road of psychology. When I look back, I think it changed a lot, but I was always drawn to fields of helping people. So any area that I was always kind of drawn to those vulnerable sector groups, even starting in high school with what I chose to do in the summers. I was always drawn to groups that either adults with intellectual disabilities, including seniors. So I worked throughout my summers, I think starting after grade 9. My favorite job, and it's an organization I still love deeply, is so I worked with L'Arche, which is a non-for-profit organization that supports adults with intellectual disabilities. So I worked within their residence, their home, where the core members, so the adults that we were supporting, live there full time. I loved it because I was able to help people to just live life, and support them, and for them to also be able to be independent and kind of do things that they might have a challenge to do on their own. So that's where my kind of love and desire to work with people really I guess that passion came from. At the same time, it also allowed me to have the experience in the caretaker role, and so that kind of identified that I might not necessarily want to go into a field that required the more of the physical care, but kind of explore different areas outside of the physical, but still supporting those groups. So I'm the executive director of the Loch Lomond Villa Foundation. So we'd like to say we're the fundraising arm to the Villa. So I'd be responsible for bringing in funds to cover everything the government doesn't. So that includes, it can range from a newspaper subscription to medical equipment such as beds. We actually just had our new bus arrive that was retrofitted to fit our residents' needs. To do that, I fundraise. So I have passive fundraisers that happen all year long that are a little bit minimal work, but also plan larger fundraising events such as a summer-long weekly barbecue and a gala event in the fall. And still kind of do different smaller fundraisers throughout the year. I also apply for grants and receive funding through the grants for programs or different builds around the facility as well. And then, of course, I do continue to foster donor relationships, so our memorial donations and different just monthly donors or smaller donors that play a huge role as well. Yeah, so I'm fortunate that a typical day changes a lot for me, which I really love. So it's important for me to prioritize like certain items and tasks, so it does vary what I do. So there might be one day that I'm writing grants or collaborating with different members of the leadership team on different projects. It's a matter of meeting with my board and kind of maintaining that area. It's a meeting with my committees, so our fundraising committee, and kind of brainstorming, being creative on what we can do and offer that year. Or it could be planning the events that I have upcoming and connecting with donors and community partners to ensure sponsorship or donations and different things like that. So or the accounting side. So it really changes every day. I just have to prioritize, make sure I'm getting everything done. I would say it's quite creative because I am, responsible of coming up with the ideas for the events or different fundraisers, for the grant applications, so to get donors. So for example, we try to make our events fun and different and offer something different than other people in the community do, to engage the community and also have them support the villa and the event that ultimately gives me money for the foundation. So yeah. And so when it comes to grant writing, I think, of course, having an arts background, so being able to write and kind of make that case and propose a project is really important. Along with that, sponsorship letters, and it's a matter of, it's telling a story is really important and does, get you donations. And I think with the grants, especially being mostly the ones that I'm applying for are community-based. So having a good pulse of the community and the community we support and their needs does play a role in kind of identifying those factors through psychology, like having that background, which ultimately allows me to write a stronger grant and just have a better pulse of what's needed in the community that I am fortunate to support. Undergrad was required for me to move into this role, and throughout the years I have received different kind of financial training as well, so in the accounting world and all that, because that is a large part of my role as well. So I'm responsible for the monthly accounting and our yearly auditing as well. So that's very crucial. It can be a little daunting if you don't come from a math or numbers background, but it's pretty easy to get a hang of it, and receiving that training allows you to feel a lot more comfortable. So yeah, so I laugh, and that's why I laughed earlier, that math was my least favorite subject in school. I think back then I assumed that I wouldn't want to pursue a job or career based off of not having that enjoyment out of those classes, but it is really neat to learn about it, and especially since it's specific to the foundation and it's the money that I'm responsible for and I'm bringing in, it's easier to understand, and a part I actually enjoy about my job now. Definitely. The villa invested in a few of us to have coaches through Vision Coaching, and that touch on not only the career aspect of your life, but also just how much your personal life impacts that. And I'm a huge believer in work-life balance, so I found it really valuable to have that coach, just kind of ensuring that I was making the right decisions, or that was important to value, to have that balance between both your personal and your work. I think I'm very fortunate in my role that there is a lot of room to grow within my own foundation that I support right now, but also in other organizations or foundations in the community. I think in my role right now that I have the opportunity through my board members and the actual board investing in me to, get my certification in fundraising, to take different accounting classes or training, even just financial background classes. And having that in my pocket, it will benefit me in my current role, but also in the future. I think it's so important just to get as much experience under your belt, and that it's important not to stay stagnant in a role forever, but know that there's always opportunity to grow and move into something bigger and sometimes better. Yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities once I think that this role has opened the door to. So although it is a foundation, it has provided me with the experience of running my own foundation, which is almost like running a business. So being, managing the money, managing any type of relationships with employees or board members or community partnerships. So with that in my back pocket, there's definitely opportunity, and doors have been open that I could move into different executive director roles for different organizations, even if it's not a non-for-profit or a foundation. If I could go back and give myself some advice, I would make sure that not to take life too seriously, one, and that you don't have to have it all figured out, that everyone's just kind of figuring that out every day, but also just to make sure that you kind of prioritize your well-being and to make decisions that benefit you and that you're happy with. A rewarding part of my job is that I can kind of directly see how the donations benefit the residents, and if that's a matter of different equipment or seeing them enjoy a program or a different thing that I can provide. And I also say being creative is a big part that I really enjoy. I have a lot of liberty to just whatever I think is the best for an event or a different idea, I can bring that to my board and it's well supported and kind of bring that to life. So that's really fun too.